What's up, Rockstars? Today I have a big news update for you guys. This is covering a lot of games, not even just on Kickstarter. I'm all over the place on this one. There's a lot to talk about. There's games launching today, plus more coming in the future, some more coverage I want to tell you about, and definitely some industry kind of commentary I need to share with you guys. So expect a rant at some point, but I'm going to lull you in with some niceness up first. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Now, as always, before I get started, a huge shout out to my YouTube members and patrons. I know I say this all the time, and I know it's rote. It's because if I don't, I'll talk forever about it. But seriously, thank you so much, guys. It is through your financial support that I'm able to stay independent from all these game studios, because none of these game developers pay me a dime, so that I can tell you freely what I think about them, and it's my opinion and not my wallet's opinion. So if you appreciate that, there is a link down below. With that out of the way, and if not, that's fine too, because a link, a like, a comment, all that kind of stuff helps. But with all of that, let's go ahead and get started. I actually want to share just real quick what I've been doing. You might not care. It'll just take a minute. I just want to share. Maybe it makes it seem like I'm more of a real person. I don't know. So I have been painting Rampart by Awaken or Archon Studios. My apologies. And I magnetized it so that, you could attach it every which way and it's totally fine. And, so anyway, I thought these were cool. So I'm going to be playing Warhammer with them. I've started on my Necrons. They're going to be purple. If you don't like the purple, well, that's only base coat. So hopefully, if you don't like it there, it'll be better. Anyway, I just want to, kind of talk to you guys, There's a game launching today. It is actually Super Fantasy Brawl Round 2. I'm only looking at this here because this is what I have. However, they've shown a lot of the prequel or, the preview miniatures of the 9 that are coming out. I've shown you many of them. There's one in a wheelchair. There's a cat lady. There's all sorts of, really, really cool looking minis, some cool looking fighters. Definitely excited to kind of expand that, because one of my favorite things about skirmish games are the army building aspect of it, or the team building aspect of it, where you get to pick and choose different ones. With Super Fantasy Brawl, each character kind of acts one way. And what I mean by that is they might be able to do different things like heal or not, or attack or stuff like that. But that's what they do, right? It's not necessarily like, I kitted her out to do this or that, because there's not equipment or anything like that. You just play their cards. And so having more options really, really helps that, because then it's I can use that and this and that. And it really expands that option, because otherwise you would have to do that through something else. And so, that's really helpful there. And a great price too. I believe they said it's $50 for 9 of them, which with these minis and the quality that they are and the great art that comes with them and the cards and obviously the balance of the cards and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of effort put into it, and I think it's actually a pretty darn good deal for a very good game. So there's that too. Moving on from that, I'm going to start out strong. Stellaris Infinite Legacy. I believe I mentioned this once before. If not, my apologies. Here you are. I know I've mentioned it to my patrons on Discord before, because I'm on that every day spamming them. So, so they definitely saw this. I love 4X video games. I have never played a 4X board game. This might get me into it, so kind of interested here. Let's go ahead and get some sneak peeks, though. And by the way, there's a link down to everything below, so if you're interested in all this, either now or later, check the description. There's going to be a lot of links. Okay, so let's see. It'll be March 11th. It'll have a retail and deluxe version. There will not be a solo version. It is 2 to 4 players with 6 players with an expansion, so we can add 2 more players via an expansion. So that's really it. Oh, wait, no, there's not, because here is the Early Bird Deluxe Edition. We don't know a price point on this, but as you can see, you get definitely some fanciness involved here, including another miniature and the Steam code, just in case you didn't have it. If not, gift it to a friend. You're welcome. I think that's great. In fact, if you want, you can come back to this video maybe. I don't even know. And just put in the code, and then whoever gets it, gets it. I love doing that. I drop codes like that all the time. Just paste it somewhere publicly and people will take it. And I'm sure it makes somebody happy, and I don't care, except that I feel good that I made somebody happy. So, by all means, share it wherever you wish, or give it to whoever you wish, if you already have it. If you don't, you should play it. moving on from this, and again, that's coming like a while from now. Let's talk about the Sankokushin update. This is going to be the first rant. It's a good one, though. It's a good one. To me, anyway. Okay, so they're going to say la-di-la-di-da-da. They're doing hip stuff. Here's what's awesome. So, Sankokushin could have done what a ton of developers do, right? Access Mundi Games could have done this. Sankokushin's the product, not the company. They could have just put some renders out there, maybe 3D printed some stuff, made a Kickstarter and said, here, back our game, and then done a whole lot of work later and delayed and done all that. I'm going to be talking about a game that was delayed and still didn't live up to expectation very soon. For these guys, though, they didn't. They did what I saw Into the Unknown do for Alien Trespass Odyssey as well, where they had, Limbo is doing as well, where they start with miniatures, right? You start with like, here's just some miniatures. It'll generate some buzz. It'll get people used to the IP. It'll allow us to get all the logistics and all the growing pains down about like delivering a product and making it overseas in China and doing all of that, all the Kickstarter stuff that companies struggle with beforehand. And we'll make some profit, which we can then put towards the actual game we want to make and make it right. And that's awesome. It meant that Alien Trespass Odyssey gave us the whole prelude to the reviewers. And it was like a ton of game to the point where they actually had me send my copy to another reviewer because the reviewer kind of said some like, negative things, some doubtful things about it. And they're like, well, here, let's just let him actually play the game and then we'll see what he thinks. And he sent it back saying, no, I don't have time for that. There's way too much game there. Which kind of like disproves what, like, if there's that much game already, then it's kind of hard to doubt on will there be a lot of game later on? It's like, well, there already is. But anyway, that's how much they put into this, right? And I see the Access Mundi doing the exact same thing. So what they're saying is, we could do this stuff after, but instead we're going to do it before the Kickstarter launches. We're going to be getting all these hips miniatures ready before it launches. And they even said, I want to make sure I read this because it was really important to me. So I need to make sure to find out where it is. Because it was great. I think it's right here. To speak a bit more on that point, a few months ago we considered reorganizing our development goals to be ready for a March or April launch. However, that would have simply shifted necessary work to the post-campaign development cycle and reduced the quality and quantity of what we could present to you during the campaign. In other words, the work has to be done either way. Let's do it before putting it on Kickstarter, not afterwards. Because not only does it get done before, but then also it means that we have it done before. So when we show you the game on Kickstarter day one, we are farther than we were otherwise. Then it says, there is no sense lowering our standards just to launch a Kickstarter campaign sooner, which extends the post-Kickstarter development time and keeps our backers' money frozen longer. I want to highlight our backers' money frozen longer. This is the point that companies fail us. This is the point where they don't understand because they're not consumers, and I get that. They're companies. And we tie hundreds of dollars up, if not more. I've seen some of your guys' backing tendencies. I know you. I'm one of you, but like hundreds and hundreds of dollars are tied up for a month while you run the campaign. And then if you run like Backer Kit or something like that, where you get to charge afterwards, I have to sit there with $400, $500, $600 worth of money just hold up because you'll at some point charge my card. That's our money we're holding up while you do the campaign, after you do the campaign. For the pledge manager, a lot of us save up for that. We can't just back everything all the time. I back based off of my patron money I make. Like literally it goes to a fund and that's where it comes out of. So when you see me every month spending that money, that is my patrons' money. It is through them that I give you. I literally mean that. With that, I have to keep that there. I can't go and spend it because then I can't do that. And that's a limited quantity. And there are months that hit me really hard where it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And so I have to save up to be able to do that. And so knowing that that is holding the backers' money during the campaign until the pledge manager, throughout the pledge manager, and then we have all that money gone and then nothing in return until you deliver that a year and a half, 2 years later, and then we finally get a product back for what we paid for years ago. Years ago. So many companies fail to see how much money they tie and how much money is frozen on our end. And they don't respect it. Every time you see a delay, it should, like, I get delays, and I'm okay with delays because I want a good product at the end because I'm already out that money, right? And so now I'm just waiting for something in return for the money that I loaned them years ago. But be conscientious about it as a company. If you're a developer watching this right now, please focus on these words. Keeps our backers' money frozen longer. That is so important. So important. And the fact that they see that already, the fact that they have that inkling in there blows me away. Instantly, Axis Mundi is towards the very top of the companies that I would say back, just based off, like literally. Because if they have that screwed, if they have their head screwed on that straight, where they actually see the consumer side of it, then I can only assume that what they deliver is going to be great. I can only assume that. That is amazing to read. This is the best few sentences I have ever read from a company. It's amazing. It's amazing. With the considerations in mind, we feel it is better to launch a little later with all the miniature samples and other preparations in place to ensure a memorable campaign. Good job. Good job. That's awesome. I'm not going to beat a dead horse too much, and this horse has already been beaten enough by me throughout a ton of videos, hundreds of videos now. You're welcome for the content. And I just want to say that's awesome. It really is great to see a company doing things smartly and safely, right? So that they're ready to deliver product and they're ready to do this. And this is not their first radio. So that when they get their big game that they've been making this whole time, right? It's like the band's debut album. It's like 15 years in the making, you know, as they kind of build this up. And then the sophomore album's kind of crap because they made it like a year and a half, right? Well, that's why. And it's the same thing. Or it's their songs that didn't make it the cut on the first one. Same thing here. Like, this is going to be their big baby. And it's going to be out in the world, and we're going to be able to judge whether or not it's something we want to purchase or not. And so everything they do to plan for that makes it worthwhile. And I guarantee for every month that they delay before launching the campaign, they'll be awarded with a month's worth of funding afterwards. Seriously, it's amazing to see what happens when somebody does something right on Kickstarter. The money just kind of flows in. That's all. You just got to make a great campaign, or a great product. You got to offer a great product, and you have to instill confidence in backers. If you can do those two things, you're going to make money. It's as simple as that. It's not hard. It's not. It's got to do the work. That's awesome. Okay, that horse got beat a little bit more often. Let's switch gears and talk about Tsukuyumi-ish. Maybe that's how it sounds. Full Moon Down 2nd edition. The 2nd edition is important here. I want to clarify. This is the second time they've done this. Okay. Oh, let's see. This guy, Kickstarter rant. I want to start by saying I liked Tsukuyumi. Cool, good. But the Kickstarter was one big lie. I paid $249 plus for shipping for a low quality production. $249 plus shipping for low quality product. Like these crappy minis here. Now, I covered this a long time ago. Back when it was on Kickstarter. I think it was like 2018. And I said even back then that the renders had the teeniest sliver of antennas, like like pixel-wide antennas, right, on their renders. And all their legs were super spindly, like Daddy Longlegs skinny. And I looked at there and I just laughed. I'm like, those renders aren't possible. You can't make that as a miniature. The miniature's going to be this big and they don't have to thicken it all up. Well, look, they thickened it all up. And they added glue spots down here on this guy and really soft stuff, like really just... He's leaning to the side by the looks of it, and this one's a little bit more straight, and it just looks clunky and blocky and crappy. There's no texture on pretty much anything. This is the only texture I see is on this right here. Everything else is pretty much just smooth as clay and just kind of compartmentalized. They're below average quality minis. I've seen army men with more character than I think some of these. So crappy minis, who would have guessed? Not me. Well, I would have guessed, I guess. I did guess. Publicly. You can check. So, anyway. So, yeah, $250 for that. Now, I'd like to point out, real quick, that, let me make sure I can get this. Chronicles of Drunagar, Age of Darkness. You just saw me unbox that. If you saw that unboxing, you saw the quality that they made. They made that from 3,478 backers and 543,000 raised. Right? That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Let me go back to, to here. I know there's one I wanted to show you. The funding amount is plenty. I've seen games with much less funding with higher quality cards and components, and actual quality control. Remember, the improved cards was a stretch goal, blah, blah, blah. Okay. He's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm showing here, because, they made 4,250 backers, 640,000. So it's about the same. A little bit more backers, a little bit more in funding. And so if you look at this, and if you remember what I unboxed here, you see the huge difference in quality. Either their profit margins are way larger and they're busy cashing checks and, taking a vacation somewhere on your behalf, or they're really crappy with money. One or the other, because they made just as much money, and by putting in theoretically just as much money, you get a crappier product from it. I see this a lot with bigger companies like, Gray Fox or something like that, where they make like a bajillion campaign. What are they at? How many do they got here? 24. How many have they made since they've just started delivering this one? Let's see. Okay, right here. 1, 2, well, they canceled this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, hey, all of you guys looking at Ragnarok's here, all of you guys looking at this, I would be conscientious of this. Which is an errata for the second edition. You can't get it right twice? You had 2 different times. And all this is still an issue? All of this is... it's a second edition. How do you mess up that much? Oh, wait. There's more. Misprint. If you're annoyed by me saying misprint, you should be annoyed by them misprinting it. That's ridiculous. And it just keeps going. Misprint. On a second edition. How do you get it wrong twice? How lazy are you? I mean, I'm sorry, but it does not take long. To read the rulebook afterwards and verify that you got everything. It's not hard. It's not hard to do blind tests. Give the rulebook to your mother. Have your mother read it. They list everything in there. No? I'm missing out a Ragnarok card and 4 2-player cards from combat cards, or I'm missing 10 stat sheets and 2 Oni sheets. 10 stat sheets. How do you leave out 10 stat sheets? Or 1 overview sheet, or the fact that you mentioned stuff that's not there, or it just boggles my mind. So you get this kind of really crappy release on a second edition. You get a crappy product. They're still charging $250 plus shipping. And there are other companies that you could put your money towards that give a better quality product out there with more care. That's bad. So, if you're backing Ragnarok's, just keep that in mind. Set your expectations accordingly, and by accordingly, I mean low. Because apparently, Gray Fox Games is not interested in delivering quality. They're interested in, I guess, making lots of... what else did they do here? Anything good? I'll take that as a no. Hey, I like deception. I bought it retail. Right here, a long time ago. Okay, anyway. Moving on from that. Okay, this is Dark Rituals. So this one is, they finally added the stretch goal rules. This was another thing where, again, look at that. Just about the same, right? More backers, a little bit more money. So right there, much higher quality product. They also goofed up on the written material, though. They finally added their stretch goal rules here. So click this link. Don't click this link. It does nothing. It's actually really annoying. And maybe it does something now. No, it does not. It's right here. I have a link down for you. You're going to scroll all the way down to the customization kit. It allows you to make custom scenarios, which is cool. Monolith did that with Conan and Batman, and it worked out really great there. There's also some Italian rules, Spanish solo mode, if you are so interested. But definitely click these stretch goal rules and it'll read how to actually add everything up and do all that kind of stuff, which is nice to see. Okay, moving on. The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, the board game. Just as an FYI, this is still coming out. It's one I'm looking forward to. I don't know if I'll be able to test it out for you guys. I'll contact them. I'll let them know that I'm interested. Because I do like their tabletop stuff, and I'm interested to see what the board game brings versus the tabletop. So that'll be kind of interesting to see, I think. And it's like, shoot, I mean, 10,000 other people are there. So that's a lot there. Let's talk about Oathsworn. Oathsworn has a very interesting stat here. Do you intend to read the full story or use the instant action mode? 33 votes out of a little bit over 1,000 voted instant action. So apparently about 30, what is this, 3.06% say that they want instant action. Just kind of interesting that I know a lot of people talk about, well, okay, I guess not a lot of people, right? You see this written a lot where it's like, hey, I just want to get into the action. I don't care about the whole story. I've seen that written several times. And apparently that was by every single person that only wants to play instant action. This is interesting to see that stat, that it's a game mode that it looks like maybe only 3%. Now, this is interesting because of how it's worded. Because I would vote both if I could. In other words, I want to do the full story, but I might not want to do the full story the second time through or the third time. Like, assuming I love this game and I play it a lot. I've played the chapter 1 a ton. I've played a few other battles. It'll be interesting to see if I'm ever just like, hey, I just want to go do that boss gauntlet, right? And so I might actually end up doing instant action after full story. So that's kind of interesting. I still think adding it is a benefit, especially long term, even if that's not the first time you play it. And I think everybody answered this as the first time I play it, I'm going to do the full story. But that doesn't mean we're going to always do a full story. So I think it's cool to be able to do instant action as well. Moving on, Zombicide Undead or Alive is in its final hours, especially at the time of publishing this. It'll be almost done. It's at 2.5 million, which is a fair amount. We'll see if it breaks 3 million. I think that's typically the key to success for a Zombicide Kickstarter these days, is will it break 3 million or not. They do have a all-in, which I love that Kaman is doing this lately. I very much appreciate an all-in. It's not like it's like a gameplay all-in, all right? So it's $240 for the full Steam pledge, which gives you a whole bunch of mounted stuff, and then some more A-bombs and whatnot, and then the long Dead Walkers, and then an artist box, and then some Abominabe and a Crocosaur. That does not give you everything, though. For instance, you could get an extra player upgrade set, and you could get the Western Tile set, and you could get the Lone Horse pack, and you could get the Metal Steam dice. And you could spend more money. Don't worry about it. Don't think that $240 gets you everything. I know you want to buy more. No, seriously though, all gameplay optional discount for $15. If you're going to get it all, here's where you want to do it. If you're going to get all but about $15 worth, may as well do this. Get the $15. You'll pay a little bit more in shipping, so it'll still be a little bit more, but your resale value goes up if you choose to sell it if it's not for you. Moving on. We have, Ravensburger. I want to talk about Ravensburger real quick. I mentioned these guys before, and you guys yelled at me because I wasn't excited about Disney Princess Enchanted Cupcake Party Game. No, you guys said that they actually make some great games that have been around a long time. It looks, you guys mentioned Horrified a lot. You guys mentioned Horrified. You guys mentioned Castle of Burgundy. Okay. See, you guys did not mention Teddy Mix and Match. Or, it's fine. I get it. I'm actually glad. I mentioned this, by the way, in case you were unaware. Gargoyles was announced, like the 90s cartoon. They're going to make a miniature board game out of it. And it's by Ravensburger. Ravensburger, not Ravensburg. Oh, I love burgers. I should have loved them to begin with. Anyway, and I was like, I don't know. This seems kind of worrisome because it looks like just make a lot of like IP games and party games and stuff like that. But apparently they make some great games as well. So hopefully that means that Gargoyles is good. And I should have noticed there was an award-winning games here. However, I clicked on it and it didn't list Horrified. It listed Snail Space Race. And Teddy Mix and Match. I'm teasing, guys. No, seriously though, this is good news. It means that I was worried that meant that it was just going to be a crapshoot. And you guys are like, no, they make some good games too. And actually, even like the party games, stuff like that, they're actually high quality for what they are. And that's good to know. So I don't know what Gargoyles is going to land in, but either way, it sounds like we're not going to get trash, right? It's going to be good, whether it's more party-ish, whether it's more serious. I think that's awesome. So, just wanted to clarify that in video. Sorry. I pinned a post on that one. I didn't know. I looked through like 3 pages here, I believe, just trying to get a sense. And these are not my style. I tend to do skirmish, dudes on a map, dungeon crawlers, right? Those kind of stuff. Those typically have minis. It's not just because they have minis, because there are games that have minis like Nemesis that I don't like. So it's not just a minis thing. But it's just a genre thing. And they don't really make that genre, so I was unaware. But I'm now educated, and so are you, I guess. Okay, moving on. Okay, this is kind of an interesting one. So this is for the Shadows of Brimstone Adventures Kickstarter, which I covered a long time ago. It's by Flying Frog Games, which is a terrible company, and I think they're crap. And I don't think you should ever back their Kickstarters, because their Kickstarters are they just don't care. They don't interact with you. They treat you like you're nothing. They add a whole bunch of stuff. Speaking of adding a whole bunch of stuff, so I spent, and you guys will see this, I think at 250. You'll see it in the video I'm going to do at the end of the month showing what I'm backing. But with that 250, there's still plenty more, because look at all this new stuff. $40 here, $40 here, not included in any pledge level. $40, 15, 22 still not included, 20 still not included, 20 still not included. Notice they have 3 waves here. 55 not included, 8 not included, 8 not included. I mean, you could spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, I'm serious, dollars. The only game that I think rivals Kingdom Death Monster, how much money you can put into it, is actually Shadows of Brimstone, a much lower quality component game, just because there's so much crap. You could add everything you could ever want. I got Forbidden Fortress, the feudal Japanese version of it. And great game. I don't care for the city phase. And in fact, if I were to play it again, I would probably house rule out the city phase and just assume nothing really happens and I just buy items. Just because it can take up a whole play session of just that. And I like simplified rule sets, and they literally have rules about the physics of how items bounce when you throw them. So I think by the time you're adding game physics mechanics into your game, you may have gone a little too far. But a lot of people love it, and actually I still want to love it, and I backed Adventure, so I guess we'll see. I heard a rumor that there's going to be a 2.0 with the streamlined rules. Let me know if that's just a rumor or not. I'd be kind of interested in that. Moving on, we have Cyber Odyssey. That's coming out April 6th. Just an announcement of the day. I think I'm still planned to cover this, but I'll have to verify. It's been a while since I've chatted with them. Apparently I'm taking notes on that. Notes to tell you guys is actually all I do. I save it to a list. Monster Hunter World, the board game. If you wanted to see this, here it is. Here's kind of the layout here. You can see this kind of sequence attack thing that you do here. Notice it is a little, it's quite different than Primal, obviously. There's a lot more spaces here. It is weird that it's circles and not like square in my mind. It's a little bit more distracting perhaps, but I guess we'll see. And notice that there are 3 enemies on the sides too that are kind of like, I don't know if it's like a tag out thing. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to end up. I do see dice, so there are dice involved too, not just cards, though not very many dice either. So kind of interesting to see little inklings there. I will be covering this game, so I will let you know. I'll let you know how it is. I'll give you my honest opinion. You guys know that. $70 for an entry-level set. It'll get you 4 monsters in the Ancient Forest biome with 4 hunters, and it'll be about 30 hours of campaign. It sounds like you play those 4 games, those 4 30-hour campaign. I think it's a separate thing than the other thing too. It's kind of like that Anthrop Odyssey prelude kind of thing. So it's almost like a taste test thing. Because then you have a 279 all-in option, which increases the campaign length to 75 hours, the number of miniatures to 24, including the XXXL, and close to 2,000 cards. So a ton of cards. Anything sub 300, I'm typically pretty lax with. I think that's pretty cool. That being said, it looks like the game's core pledge, consider proceeding forward to offer a complete experience. Doubles the campaign length, so it's to 60 hours, the price tag, upping the monster count to 9, and available roster of hunter classes to 8, and includes more than 1,200 cards. So it's interesting how many more cards are added versus, it looks like it's mostly just enemies, right? Because it goes from 9 plus 8 to 24. So anyway, that's coming out April 20th. So April is so far Cyber Odyssey, and then also the Monster Hunter World board game. That's kind of what I'm looking up there. One last update for you guys. I know it's been a while. Middara, this is another big one. North America, which also will do South American backers. now has a boat. It'll be coming, which means I get to share it with you guys. I am both excited about the character build options and scared of the rulebook. The rulebook seems long, and I'm adverse to rulebook reading in general, so we'll see. Big thing here, though, is once all Wave 1 orders are fulfilled, our web store will go live at Middara.com. I'm assuming it's been ready, and they just have now had to wait because they want to wait until all Wave 1 orders are fulfilled, which I think is great. It'll offer Wave 1, and everything will be available for purchase while supplies last. I do not know how limited that is. So when you get your Wave 1 thing, don't let it sit there like me sometimes and like don't unbox it, see how it is, see how you feel about it, and then if you want something else, be ready to actually purchase it while the supplies last. And I'm assuming a good, like, non-scalper prices, obviously, right? So, and then it'll be transitioning to Wave 2. So that's it. That's enough. That's a long update for you guys. It's a long one for me too. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, do let me know. And if there's something that I didn't cover, let me know so I can take a look at it. You guys know that oftentimes you'll list something and I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. I'll mention that in the next one. There will be obviously a next Kickstarter update or a gaming news update. So I need to start counting this as, because now it's Game Found and it's retail and it's this and it's that and whatever. It's anything that I guess strikes my fancy, or maybe your fancy too. So let me know. And with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Seriously, enjoy it. It's a beautiful day outside, I'm sure, somewhere, if not where you're at. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys again later. Bye.